future thought of business, ensuring a better tomorrow.
Hello and welcome to another edition of CNBC TV 18 and Wipro present the future thought of business. In this edition, we'll be discussing the automotive report that Wipro and Dun & Bradstreet have recently released. The report is on the automotive sector in India, and I have an illustrious panel of industry stalwarts to talk about this report. Let me introduce them. On my right is Mr. Sundar Rajan. He's the CEO of Sona Koyo Steering. Mr. Jagdish Khattar, the Chairman and MD of Carnation Auto India. Mr. Anurag Mehrotra, VP and Head Client Relationship Group, Wipro Infotech. And Mr. Vijay Sethi, who's the CIO of Hero MotoCorp. Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you for joining us here. Mr. Khattar, I'd like to start with you. Now, the Indian automobile sales have grown at a rate of about the compounded annual growth rate of 13.1% since financial year 06 to 12. But last year has not been so good for the auto industry, and the recent figures also have not been so good, the ones that came out by the Society of the Indian Automobile Manufacturers Association. Your thoughts on this? What is the way ahead?
I mean, this is a cycle in India. Unfortunately, cycle happens, and it happens various. But as you mentioned, the average is still 13%. So there were months, there were years when it was 20 plus. This year it is flat. So you are getting an average of the same. I would say that economic environment, sentiment, etc., was not conducive. It doesn't mean that there were no buyers. Buyers are still there. Even usually if you sell 100 cars, 1/3 goes to a new buyer for the first time. 1/3 replaces an old car, and 1/3 adds another car in the family. Now, a person who is replacing can postpone it. A person who wants another one can postpone it. So even if 10% of them were to do it, you have this situation. So the buyers were there, they postponed. I think the biggest player culprit was government, because they skewed the price differential between petrol and diesel. I think the NDA government did a fantastic job. They brought down the gap between the two to 9 to 10 rupees, and it was so in 2010. This increased to 30 rupees. So what happened during the year? You had a long waiting list for diesel cars and surplus of petrol cars because of the pricing. Can we imagine that cars which are in the bracket of 5 lakhs to 8 lakhs are showing a growth of 40%, but cars which are in the bracket of 2.5 lakhs to 3.5 lakhs are showing degrowth? There is something wrong, because these cars are all petrol cars, and these are the volume cars. If Alto, i10, Santro doesn't sell, the growth will not take place.
Mr. Rajan, leading on from that, well, India is the 7th largest automobile market in the world. So, well, the picture is in a way a little bit grim, but like you're saying, it's a growing, it's a phase, and there is growth. What can we do more? What can industry do more so that India remains or becomes a global auto manufacturing hub?
We could break it into two parts. One, of course, from an auto industry perspective, what can the auto as the OEMs can do? And then there is a second part, which is what can the auto component manufacturers can do. And if you look at it from India becoming a manufacturing hub, or India becoming manufacturing was competitive, we could export both the vehicles, assembled vehicles here, as well as individual components from here. Now, what we need to study are the conditions in which this export can actually happen, or can be given some sort of a fillip. And I think that's actually an area where we need to study a little deeper, because some of the competitiveness factors are sitting with the industry, as in private players, and some of the competitiveness factors are sitting with the government. I mean, if you look at, there was one study which actually showed that the infrastructure issues, which are not driven by private sector alone, contributed to close to 30% differential in cost structure between China and India. Meaning, availability of power, availability of roads, easy access to, funding, construction, so on and so forth. So if you look at it from the perspective of what can be done to change the fundamental environment in which manufacturing can become competitive, there is a lot that can be done. But on the private side, I think there is a great opportunity for the OEMs to set up India as a major manufacturing hub, for the primary reason that still labor cost is lower here. Availability of sufficient skilled people is possible here. I won't say immediately all are available, because it's a lot of work that needs to be done in the skilling area as well. but there is big scope, and automakers are already doing it, whether it's Renault, whether it's Maruti, people who have done a lot of exports from
But like leading on from that, you've spoken about the auto industry and the component manufacturers. But Mr. Sethi, I'd like to... Sure, sir.
I have a little contrarian view to what you said. India can never be a major automobile manufacturer in the world for a number of years.
Okay, and
we are too small. What is our total sales? There are a dozen companies who do more than that. But India has become. Earlier we said we could. We have become a manufacturing hub for small cars, compact cars, because 60-70% of our sales are compact cars. We produce more compact cars 3 times than all the manufacturers in Europe combined. So as the fuel becomes more expensive, people need second and third, fourth car in the family. They have an opportunity, they have an option of buying from us.
Well, I'll go to you, Mr. Mehrotra. Your thoughts on the R&D. India is, like Mr. Khattar is also saying, is becoming a manufacturing hub for compact cars, has become the manufacturing hub for compact cars. But our R&D expenditure is quite less compared to international companies. What can we do to improve in the R&D sector?
So I personally think that's a big opportunity in India for us to make India as the R&D hub for the automobile industry. Fact remains that in the past we have not spent heavily in R&D, but moving forward that's an opportunity that we need to encash, and it's primarily this opportunity is cropping up because of 3 or 4 reasons. One is ready availability of skilled manpower. I think that's a big plus in today's context, and this skilled manpower today has the exposure, has the global exposure to look at designs which are more global, and today technologies are available which allows you to work in a collaborative environment across the globe.
Yes.
So both availability of technology and availability of skilled manpower is an opportunity for us to make this as a R&D hub.
Right. On that note, we'll take a short break. Don't go anywhere. You're watching CNBC TV 18 and Wipro present The Future Thought of Business, speeding into the future.
Wipro and CNBC TV 18 present Future Thought of Business, ensuring a better...
Welcome back. You're watching CNBC TV 18 and Wipro present The Future Thought of Business, speeding into the future. So my next question to you is, what are your thoughts on the way ahead? How is information technology improving things in the auto industry? What's the way ahead now?
See, if you look at automotives, over the years, the amount of computerization within the automotive as such has increased, the amount of electronics, chips and everything. In addition, each one of us as an individual while driving is also carrying a computer, which is our mobile phone.
Yes.
Now the thing is, if we can really mix and match these two, I think we have phenomenal upside over there. For example, as a consumer, what I'm looking at is that my experience while driving has to be happy. While I'm having the two-wheeler or a four-wheeler or any automotive, the entire life cycle experience has to be happy. So if there could be electronics which is kind of diagnosing what is happening to my engine or to tire pressure or things like that, passing it on back to somebody using maybe my mobile phone connectivity, I think I'll be a happy consumer. So I think IT from that perspective can play a major role. The second part, taking from what Anurag said, I think IT in today's context is really playing a major role right from the time you conceive a bike or a four-wheeler or any automotive. The new technologies like social media, for example, you can do things like crowdsourcing.
But wouldn't this be another point, is that technology is changing really quickly? So, like you mentioned, it's there from ideation to execution. But during that period, it is a long period. It takes a couple of years from ideation to execution. In that time, sometimes technology might be redundant or a new technology comes in. So how do manufacturers keep a hold on that?
Well, I think there are 2 parts to it. When I talk about IT, that this time, I think IT is really helping us to reduce this time to market. Now what is happening is, if you see newer and newer models are coming at a much shorter pace, which means that the time which it took from conception of a automotive till the time it is delivered onto the market, that's actually reducing, and that's where IT is playing a major role. The second part, to my mind, I think once the automotive is back at the consumer end, IT at that end has to and is starting to play a major role. So whether it is in the service, whether it is in the customer loyalty, whether it is in various other things, and I think that span is much higher than this development time.
Okay.
And IT has to play, our technology has to play a major role in that. And to my mind, that's where the biggest opportunity is.
Okay.
Can I add a couple of points
Sure.
on that? One aspect on IT that I think is going to make a big difference to India, because where we are behind, is in improving efficiency across the value chain. Today, if you see, only OEMs are connected through an extranet to the tier ones, and there is a certain efficiency that has been built up, not only for servicing in terms of supply of parts, but also you can do collaborative R&D to a certain extent in terms of product design and development, which actually has to go now flow down the track to tier 2s and the tier 3. So I think IT is going to play a very big role in making supply chain far more efficient, far more effective to reduce costs.
And it do both ends. I'll say both ends.
Yeah, and also
At
the consumer end as well. At the end.
Yeah, so
supplier end
But
and
there is
consumer end.
one other point on technology I just wanted to pick up from what Anurag said. See, while on the R&D, when you look at from IT perspective, as in Microsoft and the IBMs of the world, there is a lot of skill available. I think in R&D and automotive is still something that we need people.
Mr. Khattar, you had a comment earlier.
First of all, government policies. I think we don't need anything from the government.
Okay.
The liberalization that is there in the automobile industry from 93 onwards is not there in any industry. We are more liberal than even China today. 100% FDI is allowed. You can import any component. You can get any technology. You can set up any network. You can start any model. In all this, in China, you need approval.
Okay.
In China, you can only have 50% joint venture with government companies, and then that replication is taking place. So I think government should just create an environment in which we can work. No policies are required. R&D. R&D will come automatically. You don't need to push them, because if you are going to become a big player in India, you need R&D support to become a big player.
Yes.
That product, you will have a new product, time to market. Every product has to be refurbished every 3 years. You need that. So all that is taking place. In fact, some of the manufacturers are starting R&D even before their own production is starting. I mean, besides, Europe is saturated, is on a decline. Their costs have gone up. They themselves are setting it up. So government has to do nothing about it. I mean, let's not get government should do all this, to do all that. It's taking place automatically. Today, how many manufacturers have set up R&D facilities here? Even GE has the biggest R&D facility outside America for their products. GM has more people working in R&D than in their factory. Sourcing, they have companies are here for sourcing.
Right.
All that is taking place. You don't have to do anything, please.
Okay.
No, don't get worried about it. Skill upgradation is an issue for every industry.
Yes.
And Government of India has come up with the Skill Development Corporation, in which private sector is playing a role, and we have to play. And we can't complain. I mean, India is a developing country. Yeah? These are issues which we have to sort out and as we go along. New technologies, you mentioned within 2 years a new technology, no such thing takes place in automobiles.
No, not 2 years, but I mean, yeah, a couple of years, a few years, yes.
So that
yes.
takes place. I mean, those are very basic in the engine and all. They just don't come overnight. It's not an IT industry or something where something new thing comes. No, it's the same thing again. Automation for quality and all, very important.
Right.
But you need volumes for that. If you want a robot, it costs you 7, 8, 10 crores of rupees. And we found in Maruti at the initial stages that labor was far more productive and cheaper. So automation for the sake of automation will not work. Automation comes when you get the volumes.
So I just want to add to what Mr. Khattar said and add a slightly different dimension to it. Today if you look at the Indian automobile industry, a certain threshold level of quality, reliability and functionalities are given. I think the next phase of growth is going to be driven by user experience.
Right.
User experience in all aspects, whether it is about infotainment, whether it is about servicing, whether it is about the experience of driving a car, whether it is in terms of the lease that you can get, the financing options that you can get in all these cars. So I think this is going to be the new paradigm shift which is going to take place in the automobile industry, as it is happening in all other industries.
On that note, we'll take a short break. Don't go anywhere. You're watching CNBC TV 18 and Wipro present the future thought of business, speeding into the future.
Wipro and CNBC TV 18 present Future Thought of Business, ensuring a better tomorrow.
Welcome back. You're watching CNBC TV 18 and Wipro present the future thought of business, speeding into the future. So my next question to you is, what are some new technologies that are coming up in the auto sector that would help improve user experience for the customers?
See, I think we've been talking about something called telematics for quite some time. We always thought maybe 10 years back that by 2011-12 telematics would be a big thing in India, but it has actually not really picked up due to various reasons, not getting into those reasons. But what has also happened over the last 2-3 years is that in general technology has really evolved a lot. So I spoke about social media, I spoke about cloud, mobility is a big thing. And as I said that each one of us has that computer in our hand. So I think telematics couldn't really grow in India beyond a point because there was not enough infrastructure for giving that data back onto maybe OEMs, back to other companies, or getting data for infotainment, or it was too expensive. Now, this thing can actually really help us reduce the costs. And as Anurag rightly says, I think the consumer of today is really looking at an automotive more from a user experience perspective. And if we can really increase that, it will be really good. And I think IT, especially some of these new technologies, can really play a major role in that.
Okay, great. Mr. Khattar, I'd like to talk to you about, well, nowadays the buzzword is going green. And we were discussing earlier, going green usually people think is just emissions, we're reducing our carbon footprint. But there's more to that than that. There's more to going green than just emissions.
Like what?
Like, well, they would say reducing the weight of the car, reducing the materials, improving the materials, and maybe looking at the broader perspective. What are your thoughts on this? You're hearing my thoughts. We want to hear your thoughts.
No, let me put it this way. Going green is a very big thing.
Yes.
You can talk about technology, you can talk about car, then you can talk about the entire environment. So I think we have to keep all that in mind. Now, as far as car is concerned, weight is concerned, emission is concerned, competition does everything. In India, two things are very important to a customer. One is life cycle of how much is the cost. Purchase price is always 1/3. Fuel is 1/3. Other things is 1/3. So he wants to know about 1/3. Now, Government of India is coming forward, laying down norms that you have to publicize or tell the customer what is your fuel efficiency. Any manufacturer who produces a car with no fuel efficiency, the customer will be attracted towards him. How will he get that fuel efficiency? Weight of the car? Technology. You work backwards automatically.
Let me just add one part to this. I think the 1/3 part of this middle 1/3 part which Mr. Khattar spoke about, the fuel consumption, I think from an IT perspective, a green perspective, IT can play a major role. I'll take two examples. One is IT can help the drivers to be trained in a big way so that you really drive in a fashion that your fuel consumption goes down. Second, from a telemetry or telematics or other perspectives, can you put in sensors which can also come back and inform the driver that, okay, your driving habits are bad. You're pressing clutch too often, or you're doing this, or you're doing this. And that will also help us reduce the fuel consumption while the vehicle is on road.
Mr. Sethi, growing up as a kid, I was sold this concept through comics, through TV serials, that by the time I started driving, I'd have a flying car. I've been driving for a couple of years. Where's my flying car? What's the next big leap in technology? Will we have a flying car or a flying scooter soon?
From a technology perspective, as I say, my view is that as of now, an automotive is a machine which has a lot of components or the sensors or those kind of microprocessors which are computers. But maybe in future, maybe 5 years, 10 years, not 5 years, maybe 10 years or more, can we really turn it around and say that it's a computer which has wheels? So which means all the things in a automotive are kind of computer controlled. And we have the same thing that you are asking, maybe by the time 10 years from now, you could see that, but I really don't know whether it's 10 or 20.
And Mr. Mehrotra, final words from you. We were talking earlier about companies going abroad, exporting, M&As, etc. We were talking all of that. But there are a lot of, India's currently GDP growth is kind of slowing down, 5.5%, 6% is what we're expecting. Is it a good idea for companies to go abroad to other BRIC nations which have better GDP growth for us? Or
So I think every business will do what is right for that particular business. If it makes sense to go abroad, they will go abroad. But I would summarize it by saying that automotive industry is ultimately a barometer as to how good your economy is, how efficient your economy is. It reflects the health of the economy.
Right.
So if the auto industry does well, then you know that the rest of the economy is doing well. So I'm sure we have laid the foundation over the last so many decades, and I think the next coming decades will be very, very exciting for the automobile industry.
so the automobile industry is driving the growth in the country. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us here. Thank you for watching. You've been watching CNBC TV 18 and Wipro presents The Future Thought of Business, Speeding into the Future. Stay tuned and keep watching CNBC TV 18.
Wipro and CNBC TV 18 present Future Thought of Business, ensuring a better